Okay, first time carving up a whole sirloin, a whole top sirloin. I've watched a couple of YouTube videos, and I've kind of got the idea of what needs to be done, so let's see what happens, right? As they say. I can feel it with my fingers, but to get in there past all the fat, where I need to go. There it is. So there's one there. My understanding is we're supposed to split the, I believe there's 2 or 3 muscle groups here. And so we're supposed to split these muscle groups. And we want to remove certain membranes that are like connective tissue. Never cut towards the hand, as they say. So what I like to do is, there are certain pieces of the meat that I won't necessarily completely throw out. Not that they're necessarily edible, but just that there's flavor in that, and I'd rather save that for cooking it and getting those flavors to release while it's being cooked. As you can see, the 2 muscles are separating now. Again, this is my first time ever doing something like this. I have butchered smaller pieces of meat before, just, you know, getting rid of the fat and stuff like that, but never really done. This is like the biggest thing I've ever done, so. And there's so much to it that I don't exactly know 100% where to start, but you know, that's kind of the good thing, because there's so much to do, you don't have to stand around looking at it, right? What I see here is this big, huge fibrous thing. That's going to be most likely a nerve or a tendon. So we're definitely going to want to cut that out. Okay, let's see if I can separate this one, since we've already got it halfway off the board here. Turn that around. My cutting board's just not quite big enough, eh? Let's see. so we got another one here. And that one's going to come out the other side. So like that. I might have to move this over just so I can have room to do everything. So we'll slap that one over to the side here onto the counter and bring this one over. Okay. So I'm just usually going along what looks like either fat lines or muscle tendon lines. And I'm not a big fan of all this connective tissue, so my understanding is they keep this on the meat to help keep the blood in, so that your meat doesn't dry out before it gets to market or before you actually buy it. So pieces like that have large amounts of, or even just a little bit amount of meat stuck to it. This sort of thing that I'll just throw into the roasting pan and let it render. I like my meat lean. I don't like the connective tissue. I don't like fat. Certainly don't like tendons and stuff, so if I see it, I will always try to remove it. Getting there. I clearly want to separate this one too, but I'll get rid of most of this other stuff first before I get to that. Maybe let's just flip it over first and see how it looks. What I see is, it feels like it's running somewhere along in here. So let's just separate this big muscle. Easier. I'll come back to that one in a bit. I'll just make it easier for me to deal with. So from here, so a lot of meat on that one. A lot of meat on that one. So I'll definitely be throwing that one into the roasting pan. So the idea is to lift as high as you can and then turn your blade towards it so that you're almost scraping the meat off. So that's not too bad. Scraping the meat off of the membrane. And most butchers probably wouldn't do this, right? They would probably just sell it as is, and I think most cooks probably wouldn't bother either. There's this old, everyone's got this saying, oh, it adds flavor, and fat's where all this flavor's at. It's also where all the bad cholesterol's at, so. This one's gonna have to be separated. comes out the bottom here. Comes out the bottom here. I'm just gonna get rid of it and see how it looks. Let's move it off to the side. There's a lot of stuff here I don't care for. And I'm not the only one that's gonna be eating this, but you know what? Those that want the fat can search for it in the bottom of the roasting pan. See, that's kind of what you want. So much white, a little bit of pink, not a whole lot of meat. You don't want to see that, right? That's the back side of it. That's the inside of it. That's what you want to see. I'm not a pro, right? So never went to school for butcher class. So this is just me having seen people do this either many times live in our kitchen, be it my mom or aunts at their places, or just on TV, right? See if I can get this piece out of here. Like the last thing I want to be doing is eating a nice, beautiful roast beef, right? Finding an artery sticking out of my beef. Like that for me, total, like, ugh, I'm done. You know, bring on dessert. Trying to find the best angle to tackle this, but I don't think there's going to be one. There's so much fat in here. Let's just toss that one there. Slice that one off. Again, like I said, all of this, pretty much 99% of it's going to go into the roasting pan anyway, so if people want it, it's there. If they don't want it, at the end of it all, it gets thrown out, but it'll still go in for flavor, right? Flavors, fat's where the flavor's at, they say. There's that line that I was looking for earlier. Always turn the knife away from you, right? I just about went the wrong way on that one. I think that's looking about as good as I'm going to be able to get it. It's just when it sticks up like this, I don't care for it. Lay flat, would you? I'm not supposed to be cutting towards myself, right? Get that last piece out of there. Okay. I think this is going to survive. And that's going to be that for this piece. That's it. Here we go. Nice piece of beef, but like I said, even for those who really, really want that, I'd rather reach into a pot and find a nice piece of beef every single time I reach in there that I know I'm going to enjoy, rather than to look at it, flip it around, question it, and decide if I want to keep it or not, right? So I think that's it for that one. Let me just clean that off, put it off to there to one side. I'll slide this one over top. I still got 3 more pieces of beef to clear up here. Alright, back to it. Any sort of sinews that you find you kind of want to take care of now. Rather than taking care of later in your plate. My mom taught me how to make roast beef. But at the time, I didn't care for the smell of raw beef, and I certainly didn't care for butchering it. That's why I never really learned this from her. I saw her do it many times, right? But it's not like she sat down with me one day and said, "Hey, you're gonna learn how to do this if you like it or not." Okay. Again, never cut towards yourself, right? But here I am breaking the cardinal rule. That one might have to stay, unless I could find it and separate it. which I might because I think it goes right through. At the end of the day, that's an inside running joke. At the end of the day, $59 I think it was for this piece of beef, and it's probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4 times the size of anything I would find at the grocery store, or even some of the local mom and pop butcher shops. So it's worth, spending the extra money, or the extra time to go to Costco, because this is where I bought this. I got this from Costco, and I think it's worth it to go there and just butchering it yourself. This might be an artery. There's a big hole in the middle. We'll find out soon. Just gonna get rid of that little bit. Okay. Let's see if we can split this down the middle here. This might be a little bit of a chore. So this is definitely a sinew, or sinew, however you want to pronounce it. You can see that now, right? So I've done a little bit of that side. I'm going to try and continue on to a bit of this side. I'm literally just scraping my blade back and forth against it. It ain't pretty, but like I said, I'm not a certified or trained butcher, so I just try and keep following it. I don't know if it goes any further anywhere else, but at least I know this much, that it leads to here at least. So we're definitely going to remove this piece. Most of the people that I know don't like fat or connective tissue, but there are those out there that just, they love that texture. And not bad, eh? Yeah, there's some pieces of meat there, but there's also a lot of white, so that's what we want. I'll go back to here and I'll get this last little bit. There, it's done. Right. Get a little bit of the membrane here. lots of meat with this one, right? Lots of meat with that one. So again, like I said, there are people that go for that stuff. That's fine. You can eat it all. Again, never cut towards yourself, but I think if you are gentle enough, you might get away with it. I thought I saw something. Maybe it's just fat. It's just that. Don't mind that. That was just the cuckoo clock sounding that it's midnight. Yes, I butcher meat at midnight. Maybe that would be a good YouTube handle, eh? The Midnight Butcher. Let's see if I can get into this one. Again, never cut towards yourself, right? I'm just trying the knife blade down just a teeny bit to avoid possibly slipping and getting myself. That's all I wanted to get rid of, was just that. The rest of this I think is okay. So, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm probably going to split this one in two. Just like that. Like that. Okay, so these two are done. This is the one I did earlier. So I got two more large pieces to handle here. I'll put this one off to the side for now. Just on the counter here. Let's get to it because my back's starting to kill me from standing here for so long. I'm out of shape. I haven't really done much with my life in the last 7 years, but we're not going to get into that today. Beautiful piece of meat though. Nice and bright red. You know. Gonna go real slow here, just so I can get it started and peel it back and bring it in with the others. That, grab a good hold of it. It's not too bad. Big chunk of meat, but there's that piece there, and I don't mind leaving the big chunk of meat on because I know someone's going to eat it up, right? Someone who just loves that's just gonna, mainly my brother, but you know, there are people just go for that. They're just, oh yeah, give me that piece. You know, this one's got a big chunk. I'm just gonna leave it. You know, so. Some of this I could probably leave on, but like I said, I don't want to deal with it in my plate. I'm going to get rid of it now. This is kind of like the same thing with sashimi, right? Sashimi has connective tissue as well, and nothing worse than getting a beautiful piece of salmon or tuna and getting that sucker in your mouth, and all of a sudden you're chewing on it. Because you can't separate it because of the connective tissue. inside again. Let's see what we can get here. Over. Oh yeah. And this is where it's at. You can see this white stuff. It looks like tape. It's holding it all together. This is what you want to get rid of. It's basically the membrane that separates the muscle group, right? At least that's my understanding of it from Biology 11. If you look closely here, that's the end of the muscle, right? That's the tendon, that's the big nerve, right? Always going to be silvery, always going to have these striations, these lines going across it, right? So, all right. It's a nice piece of meat. I think I am going to try and remove that though, because I don't like the looks of that, and I don't know if anyone else would. Just gotta kind of feel your way around it. Like I can kind of feel there's a pocket here, right? So shove your finger inside, then shove your knife through it to try and separate this pocket. Let's start from this end. Maybe it's hard to really see where to start from. And again, like I'm the novice guy here, right? Like this whole connective tissue here, this is just all slimy. Just having it in my hands, I almost want to gag. That's how slimy it is. Okay, I'm just going to go through this if I can. I don't think I will be able to, so I'm going to start this side. Again, nice and gently, let the knife do all the work. Right? Now that you're in, pull and let your knife roll forward. Pointing your knife upwards. Cut our losses where we can, right? There. So there are some pieces of meat there. There's a big piece there. There's a little bit there, a little bit there. But this is probably the biggest pieces here. But it's got a lot of that stuff on it. I am going to remove this tendon though, because I can't think of anybody would want to be dealing with that. Certainly not me. There. If they want that piece of meat, they can have it. The rest of this, I don't know. I'll leave it in there for taste, but maybe once it's cooked and reduced, there might be something to remove from there. I don't know. And just leave the tendon behind. Let's see. This has already been cut a little bit. I'd like to go thinner than that though. I am cutting towards myself, but I'm cutting downwards in this case, just to, if you ever can, you always try to cut downwards, unless you've got a full grip on it and it's rolling towards you, then you can point it upwards as long as your hands are far enough away. I have made, a fair share of roast beef in my day. Usually for family and friends. And not one person has said to me, "Oh, I didn't like your meat. There wasn't enough fat." They all usually said, "That was a beautiful cut of beef. Flavorful, tender." And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like like, having dinner shouldn't be work. Shouldn't be a job, right? Shouldn't have to sit at the dinner table trying to decipher what this is that's in my mouth right now that's making me want to gag, right? That shouldn't be part of having dinner, at least not in my book. So I just sharpened my knife so it's super, super sharp. This is that piece that had that big tendon stuck to it, right? So I got that part back a bit. Let's see what else I can do here. Let's see if I can remove some of the meat from the back side. There we go. That's what you want. Like I said, my back's killing me, so the sooner I get this done, the happier I will be. I'm going to score that just to get rid of this slimy piece. And I don't even know if I'm using the right knife for this or not, but it is the sharpest knife I had in the knife rack, so I'm just going to slide this underneath this silver part here. Or you know what, I'll just start from this side. Like that. Lift it up. Lift the knife towards it. You want to see the knife on the other side of that silver part, right? That's how you know you're not leaving a whole lot of meat behind. What did I do? Not too bad, not too shabby, right? We're getting there, Jeeves, we're getting there. Some of you might be thinking I'm butchering the crap out of this beautiful piece of beef. Well, if you know better than I do, then good for you. I've never been educated nor trained in any of this. I still want to get that piece out. I don't know where it runs. There it is. I'm telling you, nobody wants to be eating a piece of beef while they're chewing on it and they run into a rubber band. Nobody that I know wants to be eating a beef rubber band. I think that. And I'm going to remove the rest of that just in case. And I'm not throwing any of this out, right? So this is all going to go into the roasting pan. Large fatty pieces, what I like to do is I like to place it over top the beef. You know, once the roast is in the roasting pan, I like to place the fat over top the pieces I've cut off. And I like to let that render down and just, you know, let it baste. I mean, you know, they say fat's where the flavor's at. Well, if that's the case, I'm not about to throw the fat out. Let's see. Just got this little piece here on the end, eh? Bit of a membrane here. Protein will always cut away easier than any membrane. So you can run your knife towards it. Because for the most part, membranes and tendons and stuff, they tend to hold their own. I'm wondering about that one. This back over. That. Looks like a real nice piece there now. I'm just looking at the. That just might be marbling, right? Run your finger in it. Make sure it's not an artery. Right? No, no, look at that. Look at that. Well, now that begs a question. There we go. Why was there a pocket there? Because there was another tendon, or a sinew, as they say. So I'm going to, some of this might be fat, but no more pockets anywhere. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that because like I said, there are some people that are going to enjoy the fat on the beef, and I'm not going to completely remove it all. This is a bamboo cutting board, so probably the safest piece you could get for a cutting board to work meat on. That's the last piece I have to worry about. Oh my goodness, I don't know if you heard that or not, but I just grabbed my back. Another big tendon here on the end. Okay. Might be a couple of muscle groups in here. Let's see what I can do with this first. Let's see if we can separate some of this. Okay. Just get underneath that membrane there with your knife and just tear it open. It sounds like tape, right? A bit more there. Okay. This one's got a big piece. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of that. Lots of meat on that one. This is partly me getting tired, by the way. My back is really starting to kill me here, so I don't know if I'm going to be as picky as I was for the first half hour of this or not. But I don't even know how long we've been at this. Oh, 45 minutes. Oh my goodness. Okay. because that's the piece you don't want. I still get the feeling there's a muscle in here somewhere that wants to be separated. Yeah, I can feel it now. Run my finger through the middle of it, I can feel it. I think I may have misread this piece. I'm getting kind of quiet here because I am getting kind of tired, but at the same time, less talk, more focus, right? Nice and gentle, just to get it started, right? Nothing worse than to be doing this when you're just starting to get tired. Not the best job, but we're getting there, right? And we're getting her done. And that's most important, is getting her done. If we knew more about meat, or just beef in general, I'd be able to know what these membranes do, these shiny pieces here, and if they would actually render down or not once they get cooked, or do they become that slimy connective tissue that no one cares for. So I think this one's almost done. To the side, take a little bit off of here maybe. I think that one's going to do it. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. So this is that big tendon again. Let's do this one gonna get rid of that, so I don't have to be looking at it all the time trying to figure out how that plays a role in all of this. This one. Pretty sure I should be doing this from the other side, but just because of the way it looks. See, I was afraid of that. I had a feeling that it ran along it. Okay. Let's see what we can get out of that. It's got a whole bunch there. That's going to have to stay the way it is. Not a whole lot I can do about that. Just send you running down the middle of it. Again, never cut the word yourself right, but here I am doing it. This might just be marbling, but after seeing that thing run through, see, it looks like it's just marbling. That's marbling. Alright, so that one will stay. And now we're left with the last piece. I'm pretty sure this is the last piece. I really don't know what to do with it. Well, if people like it, you can have at it. I'm not interested in that stuff, so I'm very impressed by the piece of meat, by the way. This all feels like it's all just fat and marbling, so I think I'm just going to leave it. That's it. Okay. Take a look and see how many decent pieces I have now. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And in our family, a fist is about the size of a piece of beef you put in your plate. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably enough there for 12 people. So, alright. Now, slightly off camera here, I have my marinade, so I don't know if that's going to come into view here at all. I'm going to try to rotate this around. Bring the bowl in. That's my marinade. I think I got too much marinade in there, so I'm gonna have to split this into 2 bowls, right? I shall grab a ladle. And then here is my usual Portuguese spices and herbs. That you see there is a couple of bay leaves. For this amount of meat, I usually put in about, 5, 6, or 7. So let's just say 6, but I know for sure I got in here 7. So I've split the bay leaves now. Come in here and we'll just try and get some of this marinade out without any more bay leaves. White wine, a little bit of vinegar, cumin, Jamaican allspice, cinnamon, paprika. I think I need more paprika, to be honest, just based upon the color I'm seeing here, but I think I'm going to split the marinade in half. Hopefully these 2 containers will help hold all that I have here for meat. I think we're right about there. I think that's it. It looks pretty close to me. So I'm going to hang that there for a sec. Let me just get this out of the way. Two. Maybe I can put one more big one here, eh? Let's see how this looks. That might do it for that one. Maybe we could fit one more in. Let's see. If I had to pick one, which one would I want to put in there? Okay, put this one in. You want to make sure that, they're not sitting on the bottom. They're not squashing each other. There's my bay leaf. And that there's liquid between each one. So that way they all get good flavoring. This one goes into this bowl over here. Let me just move this bowl over. Assuming I can lift it. Up to there. And we'll grab this one over to here. There we go. So we got that one in there. We're going to put this one in as well. I'm going to turn on the water tap because I'm going to need it real soon. And all my hands are completely dirty. And then, of course, we got all this. This is all the trimming. I mean, I don't know how they do it at the butcher shop, but am I being wasteful? I don't think so. These are pieces of meat that aren't going to be thrown out. All of this goes into the roasting pan. A lot of this people love to eat. Stuff like this, maybe not so much, but I'll sort this out and I'll lay it on top of the roast so that it reduces and kind of bastes the beef. So all this goes into the marinade because you want it all to have flavor, right? Nothing sticking out above the liquid. Even a tendon here, I can feel it. It's hard as a rock, but that's okay. Probably could have put one more of these pieces, the big pieces, into that first bowl, Just look at the size of this right now. I want to massage it a bit. Make sure that nothing's packed in there and everything's kind of loose. Right? Lots of marinade around everything. Now, some people taste their marinade when it's raw and stuff, and that's fine. That's what they want to do. That's what they choose to do. Me, on the other hand, not so much. I'm always more concerned about health issues. Especially salmonella or E. coli. So, you want to taste the marinade when it's raw before you put any raw meat or raw meat juices or any protein into there. I think that's fine. You know, if it's just garlic, wine, seasonings, herbs and spices, I think that's okay. But as far as once the meat or the blood or meat juices have gotten in there, I would advise against it. So. That's good enough. Okay. Caked on meat and blood on my hands. Again, not used to this, right? First time having done it. If any of you know better and want to give me some tips or send me some links to some better videos. The stuff I watched were professional butchers at butcher shops that were doing it, so I wouldn't know any better. So hopefully I haven't given too many people a cringe factor from having watched this. But yeah, that's it. Time to clean up. Thanks for watching. An hour and 4 minutes. Wow, 20 to, it's 20 to 1 right now, so time to need to get out of here and put these babies to rest in the fridge. So, alright, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, click like below, subscribe, all that good jazz. Alright, talk to you guys later, take care, and yeah. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Okay, bye for now.